Hello everyone. Um, this is the Spring Boot application that I have created to explain you uh, Kubernetes volumes. You do not need to understand how this application works, but it is better if I make you understand how this application is created, how it is generating a data, so that you can better understand how the Kubernetes volumes work. I also have committed this code into my GitHub cup of Java Tech Spring config server. If you check README file into the GitHub uh, Spring config servers, you will be able to find some detail about the project. And also I have added some useful command for to start and stop the containers and Kubernetes pods. And also I have added some useful command on how to build image from the application. Let us go back to the editor and try to understand the applications. So the Spring Cloud Config Server is a REST application developed on top of the Spring Boot framework. The main purpose of the config server is to store the configurations for all the services in the applications. So if we, in our case, we have defined a services like a microservice like flight microservice or train microservice, and inside each one we have defined some configurations. For example, let's say support detail for person name and contact details of that flight service and all those things. Now these configurations can be accessed by the multiple services, and this is the centralized location where using some kind of REST APIs you can access this all the configurations, and all the services don't need to uh, store the configuration separately. Here the applications can be built with a mvn clean install, and once you do it, it will build the application and you can store the data. You can create the file, jar file, and that jar file can be used to build the Docker images. If we go back into the Docker image, here the jar gets created. These jars can be added into the Docker image. I also have created a one volume inside this. So if we go back into application properties, here I have mentioned that from where to pick up this all the configurations. In this case, it is using the class path as I am running these applications locally. If I run these applications into the Kubernetes, I need to make sure that my applications is scattered with the volumes, so that I have to put these all the files inside some kind of volumes, and then only I will be able to access those files defined inside the configurations, or those files used in that configurations. So the defining the volume in Docker file is very important. Otherwise, we will not be able to use this configuration. Also, this file can be built, this Docker image can be built with help of these commands. You have to build the jar first, and once the jar is built, you can use this command to generate the Docker image. And in the Kubernetes, if you want to use the any image, you need to push that into the common repository. In this case, I am using the Docker Hub, so I can push this image into the Docker Hub, and then I should be able to use this image wherever I want to. So let us try to run this application locally and try to see how it is exposing the REST API to expose the configuration. So I can run this application locally with help of the Spring configs server application.java files. So I'll run this application, Java application, and when I run these applications, what it will do is it will pick up configurations defined inside uh, the config folder, and I should be able to access with the help of the REST API. So if you check readme files, here there are these URLs defined. This URL will expose all the configurations defined inside. So if I go back into the Postman, and here I can find the default configuration with help of this. So now if you look at this, all the configurations about that, I can take this and I can use this in any of my microservices as a configuration. So if I want the QA configurations, I can get the QA configurations, and also I also get the default configuration as well. If I want the prod configurations, because we define the different configurations for different environment, right? I can also similarly get the train service configurations for the default, that is develop, for the prod, and similarly I can get it for the QA as well. So our idea is to use this configuration file, and we need to make sure that I define some way to define these configurations into the volume so that I can access these files from the volumes, and I do not have the dependency of the uh, files defined inside the pods. So let us explore that how we can use this Kubernetes to create the volumes with a different way and expose these volumes to use into the pods. If you look at this, I have created some config files, YAML files for Kubernetes to work with the Kubernetes volumes. So let us try to explore this in the coming videos. Thank you.